Let's talk about Australian standards. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Heiser Says. Now, the Opal Tower saga, New South Wales government attempt to rechange and build confidence in their construction industry has made me think about Australian standards. Now, Australian standards are used all throughout Australia in lots of different industries, but I'm going to focus on construction. Now, I'm going to start with story time. So I was a student working for an architectural firm. I remember I was working on a project which was a refurbishment of an apartment building, and I had to go out there on site to discuss some details with the builder and take some measurements. I remember the builder, he's an older guy, came up to me and he started asking me all these questions about the building code. Got it here. Building code. He asked me about stair heights and what the maximum and minimum could be. And I said, no problem, I'll go back to the office and I'll send you the actual legislation from the building code so you know what the ranges are. The reason he was asking me, and I found this out later, was because he'd worked on one of those reality TV shows, one of those restaurant ones, and he'd buggered it up. And he'd managed to get an injunction to stop the airing of that episode because they couldn't open the restaurant because he'd stuffed up the stairs. And I remember thinking, you're a builder, mate. Why the hell don't you have access to the building code? Why don't you do it? It's only years later I realized he was, just probably a small fit-out guy or a glorified handyman in some regards. And maybe he didn't want to invest the money to buy the building code. Because at one stage it was coming out every year and the changes were not that exciting. I've gone to reviews from the Australian Building Code Board where they present all the changes to you, and it is a struggle to stay awake. Really, it is. And this could cost hundreds of dollars every year, thousands of bucks sometimes, back in the day. And it's money you had to spend. But the thing is, now, one of the things the Liberal government brought in was making it free. You can get a PDF copy of the building code for free, which is fantastic because under the Building Act, it's a piece of legislation there, that becomes a legal requirement. Okay? It's a code that can get changed by a body and rather than an act of parliament, so it can get updated and respond to the building industry. Now, my wife has done an episode on just how all these construction codes and legislation get their legal authority and the hierarchy of them. And I'll link to that over on our other channel, The Practical Architect. That's aimed at people who are studying for the registration exam. So if you're interested, check it out. But let's have a look now. We get the building code for free. And this is the Australian Building Codes Board. Anyone can get to it. And here it is. It's the NCC. The National Construction Code, and in that you've got the building code, the BCA, and you've got the plumbing code and some other things, and they're all different volumes. Now, I've downloaded some PDFs of this to make it easier for us to do, and there's 2 volumes, or there's 3 volumes, but there's 2 that we're dealing with. You've got the 2016, that's the current one, Amendment 1, and it's now updated every 3 years, which is great, because it used to be updated every year. Fantastic. And this is for Class 1 and 10 buildings. That's just standard residential stock. You detached houses, those type of things, garages. You've got here the 2016 Amendment 1, the Volume 1. That's for Class 2 to Class 9. That's all other buildings, essentially. Opal Tower would have been in this standard here, on this building code here, not in this one. And there's different legislation and amendments for each state depending on where you are and all these other different requirements. But what I want to focus on, I'm not going to go through the building code, guys. Don't worry. I'm not going to make you suffer that. I'm going to jump here to part 1.4 in volume 2. We'll just look at it as an example. You can see here, schedule of referenced documents. Now, what are referenced documents, you might ask? These are other documents that are referenced in the building code. Okay, so say an example we've got here. Let's look at something that isn't exciting. Here we go. Acoustics, rating of sound insulation in buildings and building elements. So that's the Australian New Zealand Standard 1276, Part 1, date 1999. Okay, and these are the clauses that bring them up. But because the Building Act, or the NCC and the BCA underneath it, the Building Code of Australia, has been given authority, or essential legal, become a legal document because of the Building Act. And this Australian standard is referenced in this document to this date. You have to comply with this. And you're going, Florian, that's fine, no problem. Let's have a look at another one. 1288, glass in buildings. 1289, 97. Methods of testing soil for engineering purposes. And the thing is, these standards change. So you may have, a 2008 or 2009 version of a standard, but the building code still references an earlier one. So you need to, because the idea is to give people time to adopt, to change products, to come on market, to meet the requirements. A lot of that happened with the disability access standards and, toilet requirements and ambulant toilets. There was a standard that was the current year, but the actual one referred to in the building code was older. So you have to manage that. So you need to be on top of all of these things. Who needs to be on top of them? Well, the architects, the engineers, the certifier has to, probably the project managers, and all the subbies and the builders need to be on top of all of these standards that are referred to this, particularly the ones that relate to their field of expertise or what they're working on. Let's have a look at volume 2. Here it's, where is it? 1.3. Here are the reference documents. Structural design, all of these. And these are quite dry to read. They're quite dry to read, glass in buildings. So if someone is saying that they're building to Australian standard, you want to know what year Australian standard, is it the correct one? Sometimes they may not be using the most up-to-date one. And here is the real kicker. This is the thing where I'm really frustrated, and it's the point of this whole video. Now, where do you get Australian standards, you might ask? Are they free here on the NCC, the Australian Building Codes Board? Well, no, they're not. No. You go to the SAI Global store. Okay, SAI Global. You have to buy these things. You have to buy these standards. So let's have a look. We'll jump. We will jump back to. Okay, we'll go 14.8. Design for access and mobility. Okay, that's an important standard. We need to comply with that to ensure that our buildings aren't going to, that our clients won't get sued for disability discrimination, and that people who need access can get access to these buildings. That's perfectly fine. So we'll look at, 0.4.2, 2018. Let's have a look. We'll just load that up here, and we'll see. And, okay, here we go. We can get a hard copy for $248, and that's 0.4.2. I'm hoping that's the whole set. What about a PDF in English? That has to be free, Florian doesn't. Oh, wait, no. You save $20. You save $20. And these PDFs, I'm not sure about this one. You can only print it once. I wonder if there's a time on it. I know I bought stuff from here that had a bloody time limit to it, where it would expire after a certain period of time. So I bought these standards, sat them on my computer, because I didn't want to print the bloody things and have paper everywhere, because I am a cheap bastard and want to have a paperless office. That was my dream. It was my dream. Never possible. But no, you had to print them because some of them timed out. I know some of the contracts do. But look at that price. $223. $223 for that standard. So let's have a look. We'll look at, just go on standards here. Now, these standards need to legally be complied with. They need to legally be complied with. And how many of them are in, look at this. Look how many you have to comply with. And each one of them, let's look at 1670, fire detection, warning control, intercom systems. Okay? How much do you reckon that's going to go? Come on, guys, what do you think in the comments? Let's have a look. Come on, we're going. Fire detection. We'll do here, part 1, 2018. $300, including GST, for a hard copy. What about the PDF? The one-use PDF, $270. But here we go. What about the networkable PDF, so you can access it across your network? $480. And who? Oh, but Florian, what about, SIA Global are writing all of them and hiring teams of people? No. You've got a lot of professionals donating their time to do this, professional bodies, organizations. Sometimes you've got corporations that are involved in developing these standards. They cost a lot of money to do. So these standards are required to build the bloody buildings. They're required to check what the buildings are. How can a member of the public get a copy of the standard and read through it, or even get the guide to read through it to get an understanding of it, to see that it's actually been done? Okay, because sure, okay, a lot of the stuff here is going to be tough for the average punter to understand, but you still have to give them access to it without spending $480. Or this here, 1100.301. This is the standard for architectural drawings. $220 for a hard copy, and a PDF in English, 196. And the networkable one, so all your draftees can draw right, 344. And here they're letting you print 3 copies of the bloody thing. So I wanted to bring this to people's attention, because if there's all this talk about changes to the construction industry and, shaking it up, we need to look at a huge cost here that is incurred by a lot of people in the construction industry, a huge paywall that is stopping consumers from getting access to information that they need. I would argue that every consumer should have access to every one of these standards for free. We need to get SII Global out of it. It needs to go into public domain for Australian citizens to access this information. It's a consumer issue. It needs to be easier for the builders. It needs to be easier for the architects, for the engineers, for the project managers to be able to get the standard, print out, and have a look. The disability access standard is everyone can understand it. Everyone can get their mobile phone, can put it on a ramp and see if it's the correct angle. It's not rocket science, a lot of this stuff. And there are so many here. So guys, this has been annoying me for years, and I just thought I would voice my frustrations to you all. Let me know what you think. Some of you, using these standards? I know there are a few builders, a lot of guys on site. How many people have you seen people using dodgy, out-of-date standards just because they can't afford to buy it every year? Because this stuff adds up. And sending a PDF over the internet doesn't cost money. We're in the future now. Okay, we're in the future now. So guys, let me know what you think. Should this be free for everyone, for consumers? Or, should it be just free for all? People can build whatever they want. Thanks for joining me for this episode and rant. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ding the bell to see my video updates. And I will see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.